I wanted to revisit weapon stereotypes since it's been like 4 years since I last did this, and there's a lot of new weapon additions since then. Anyway, subscribe and let's get straight into it. For those of you who choose to use non-legendary rapier weapons, you're suffering, at least until the weapon reworks update comes out soon, but at the very least, if you use a non-legendary rapier, you're loyal, because you've probably been using this since before it was good, and you still choose to use it long after it's good, or even usable, because these things are just terrible. Because without the guaranteed enchant stacks on crits, these weapons are just not good. Even with the few talent buffs we recently got, it still isn't great. So if you're still using a non-legendary rapier, you're probably just waiting to fight the Kyr's champion. Deep Spindle users are like the bad version of a rapier user, because you use it to be gross in Metamance. Seeing as how this weapon manages to be actually good while being a part of the worst weapon category in the entire game, you know that it's disgustingly overtuned, and if rapier gets any considerable buffs, it's gonna be insane. With that being said, nerf this weapon, and if you use it, you're the scum of the earth. Cold Point is too new to develop a stereotype of its own for now, but if you're using it, you're probably one of two people. One, the Metamancer who switches builds every update to try and find the most broken weapons in the game at any given point, and farm elo because nobody's learned how to counter them in Chime yet. Or alternatively, you're someone like me on a 300-year-old Frostjaw Rapier build, looking to finally make your tired-ass build viable again, which it still won't be. I haven't gotten it yet, but when I do, there will be a new awakening. If you're actually using the Light's Final Toll, you're coming back to the game from like a 2-year break, probably to get the Withered Death Knell, because why else would you ever use this? It's genuinely one of the worst weapons in the entire game as far as build specking goes ever since they nerfed it, so the only people using it just haven't realized yet. Or you really like the aesthetic and you're waiting for the devs to graciously buff it, so you refuse to get the Withered Death Knell. The Withered Death Knell weapon was added as an excuse for the devs to forget about the Light's Final Toll. Regardless, if you're using this, you probably just dusted off your 300-old LFT build for the first time just to make it into a Withered Death Knell build. Just for it to be still barely usable because of all the changes the game's been through in the last 3 years since you made a Light's Final Toll build. So even if you're putting this on an old build, it's still not going to be very good. I've only ever talked to one person who used the Vortex Echo, and it was an e-girl Link Strider who mained support builds and ran from any semblance of combat which came to her, while she spammed heals on anyone she could from her guild. I don't think I need to say much more. This next stereotype goes for all of the Heart of Enmity weapons, but if you use any of them, I just know you've got some atrocious drip. I don't know what it is about Enmity weapon users, but they're always wearing some bullshit. And every time I say something like this, I get some dumbass in the comments talking about my drip, but the difference is, I don't play the game enough to have cosmetics, so my rapier build has 430 health. You play the game enough to be using the Enmity weapons regularly, and you have 900 hours in the Chime of Conflict, and your character slots still look like whatever that is. Just Karita users literally just want more Just Karita weapons. You guys think kicking is cool, and you're sad that the devs hate you and your weapon type. If you use a bow, I don't know, man. Nobody uses bows. You're probably just experimenting with the reworked bows, but, like, it's not going well, because they're not good. If you're using dual guns, you're just kind of annoying. Every dual gun user I see is just annoying. Like, you guys hold S, you spam M1, you try to outrange as best as you can while abusing range mantras. Like, this is barely a step up from the next entry, but you guys all play super annoying. If you use any rifle, you are just a worse version of the previous entry. Use the clip on screen of me fighting a rifle user as an example. Nobody holds F and spams range attacks worse than a rifle user, and most of these guys were ex-dual gun users who realized rifles are just better with this lame-ass playstyle anyway. The Curved Blade of Wind is going to be the only sword that'll be going on this list, because sword mediums are just nothing. Like, they're so basic that anyone could be using them. Anyway, if you're using the Curved Blade, then you just like strong builds, but you want something more sustainable, because unlike most Metamancers, you don't want to remake your build every week to adjust for whatever the new strongest weapon is. So instead, you choose something that is consistently strong. If you're using the Hero's Blades, I don't like you. You're guaranteed to be a mage, but ironically the Saint-Sworn Hero Blade users are more respectable than most single-blade Hero Blade users, especially Hero's Blade of Ice users. They are the absolute worst, most annoying mage players you will ever encounter in all of Deepwoken. If I see a Hero's Blade of Ice, I'm already primed for the most annoying, mantra spamming, crit spamming, running in a circle build I've seen in my entire life, where all you do is run, and you try and bait me into falling into your crit that does 7% per tick. Dude, who the fuck uses the Pernak? You're one of one right here. Nobody is using this weapon, so at least you're unique. But God, you're probably just trying to be different, because why would you ever use the Pernak? The Imperator's Edge used to be really broken, so anyone still using it is probably running a super old build and just got back from a long break from the game and expected it to still do 30% per crit. It doesn't. Good enough though. I hated this weapon. The Death's Reverie is the only good twin blade weapon. I guess there's also the Crescendo, but whatever. Anyway, if you use the Death's Reverie, you like to act like you aren't a Metamancer, but you totally started using this thing when it was super broken when it first came out. But, you know, you still use it now, because if you didn't, you'd be using a newer broken weapon, and everyone would actually know you're a Metamancer. But for now, yeah man, everyone totally believes that you just really like this weapon, and you're a huge twin blade fan, or you like the animations, or whatever. If you use the Grand Sideruska, you're one of two people. If you use Crystallize, you spam that crit every time it's off cooldown, and you also probably made your build red themed, like the Grand Sideruska isn't a pinkish salmon color. And if you don't use Crystallize, you try and proc status effects as much as possible, and love spamming anything that procs bottom freeze. If you use the Pale Briar, you just run way too many solo Diluvian mechanisms. You're obviously a PvE player, but dude, get off the game for once. If you use the Pyre Keeper, you're annoying, but you're also probably really toxic. Every Pyre Keeper player thinks that they're hot shit, and for some reason most of them think they're way better than they actually are. Cue the obligatory "but I'm better than you lol" comments, like I care, but also I don't have 900 hours in Chime just to be hard stuck 1100 elo, as most Pyre Keeper players are. The Crypt Blade might as well just be the Hero's Blade of Shadow, because genuinely it's used like one. Spam mantras, specifically Shadowgun, maybe an Eclipse Kick here or there, because, you know, it does a trillion damage. Crypt Blade users are the embodiment of that one Buzz Lightyear gif, because they all literally play the exact same, they use the exact same build, and they dress their characters the exact same. It's just boring, man. I haven't actually seen a Crescent Cleaver user in a while, but the Crescent Cleaver is for whatever reason just used by the most toxic D players I've seen in my entire life. And all the Crescent Cleaver players I remember all had that annoying, like, mid-puberty teenager voice, waiting for the comments to say I do too. Anyway, Crescent Cleaver players always just piss me off. If you use the Kearsaiger, you use it for the novelty of having a railgun, or because you just think it looks cool and matches the aesthetics of your build, because this thing is genuinely just awful. Like, there's no reason to ever use it. If you use a Great Cannon, nobody likes you. Wraithclaw users are fan the flames mantra spamming merchants. That's literally what every Wraithclaw user ever has been doing since the weapon came out. You go Gale, you go Flame, and you spam your weird ABA combos. If you use the Bloodfowler, you're the grossest kind of player because you thrive on the cheapest mechanics possible. I don't know what's up with Bloodfowler users, but I swear, like, first of all, the weapon, the M1 on this thing, doesn't match up with the actual animations in a way that makes sense. Bloodfowler users are the same people responsible for the new rule where you get banned for hiding character animations with outfits. Bloodfowler users are the type of people in real life to cheat in a friendly game of cards against your friends with no money on the line, or even money on the line. They're both scummy regardless. Bloodfowler users are the type of people to use AI to write a personal essay. Bloodfowler users are the type of people I do not want to associate with, and if you are a Bloodfowler user, you are a dirty piece of pond scum. If you're using any kind of dagger, you're probably just, like, really annoying. You guys usually run Flame because you could spam guard breaks, and then once you get a guard break, you hold down that M1 that you're probably using a custom-made macro for because it's faster than hold M1s in game for some reason. And at the same time as you're doing that, you're just praying and hoping that Shaky Block carries you through the entire fight. So, you play as aggressively as possible, and you spam as much as possible. Doesn't take skill, doesn't take brain power, doesn't take anything except for you holding down two buttons. And does it work? Sadly, yes, it kinda does, but it's not effective against people who actually know how to use their brain. If you use the Purple Cloud, you're the medium version of a dagger user. Like, every Purple Cloud user that I see in-game plays the exact same as a dagger user, except they're using the Purple Cloud, which is technically a medium weapon, but since it's fists, it plays more like a light weapon, which is why I think it's in a really weird spot. But regardless, they literally all just play the exact same as dagger users, minus the Shaky Block, and then you just, like, They don't hold as M1 as much as the shaky block abusing dagger users, but they definitely spam more mantras than dagger users. It's like a little trade-off for the fact that they're now using a medium weapon, but yeah, they're pretty annoying too. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As usual, it's just a stereotype, so don't go crying in my comments if I said something bad about you. But knowing all the Bloodfowler users, I probably will. Anyway, it's been a while since I did one of these, but someone gave me the idea, so I had to bring it back for a video. I don't think I'll redo the rest of them, but I might if you guys really want me to, so let me know down below, and I guess we can make an updated series since it's been actual years. So if you have any stereotypes for bells or oaths or something, drop in the comments below. New song cover this or next week, along with the one I dropped last week. So buy a YouTube membership to hear my song covers. I finally learned how to mix my audio properly. And shout out to YouTube members of Tier 2 or higher: Green, Philip, Delusional Mo, Elstern, Broccoli, Carlia the Witch, Akio Sugi Kuni, Burger, Highcard, IXKMB, and Drizzy Drake Fan. I love you all, have an amazing day, as usual, and goodbye.